In widespread unrest not seen in decades, American cities from Seattle to Washington, D.C. burned as many peaceful protests during the day turned to rioting and destruction by night. Governors in 12 U.S. states have activated National Guard troops to quell the violence and restore order.
No peace!
It was the latest move in a week of escalating tensions after George Floyd died in police custody. Derek Chauvin, the Minneapolis officer who pinned Floyd to the ground using his knee, now faces third-degree murder charges in connection with Floyd's death. But protesters demand more, including charges against other officers involved.
I want to make a change for my people because too long that this has been going on and things need to change around everywhere because nothing's going to change if we keep talking, obviously, or keep posting something on social media.
Since Thursday, the Associated Press reports police have arrested about 1,700 people in 22 cities across the country in connection with the violence that has left dozens of businesses burned, officers wounded, and several demonstrators killed. What began in response to Floyd's death in Minneapolis has also reached outside the U.S., drawing hundreds to the streets of London in a sign of solidarity with those seeking racial equality.
Well, we've seen for hundreds of years black people and people of colour be absolutely abused and killed on the streets, and it's just getting worse and worse. We've had enough, and if we're not going to listen, we're going to scream louder and louder, and we're not going to stop until something is done. We've had enough. This is people who have had enough. It's time to make some changes.
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar represents parts of the city of Minneapolis at the epicenter of the demonstrations and says there needs to be nationwide reforms.
What we are seeing, the unrest we are seeing in our nation, isn't just because of the life that was taken. It's also because so many people have experienced this, so many people have experienced injustices within our system.
In prepared remarks after the successful launch of the first U.S. astronauts on a commercial spacecraft, President Donald Trump said while he supports peaceful protests, he won't tolerate lawlessness and destruction.
The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists. The violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings.
It was a message his national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, defended after another night of unrest.
And the president's outraged by that, and we all are, and that has to stop, and we're calling on the FBI to investigate Antifa and get to the bottom of these violent rioters, and I don't want them confused with peaceful protesters that have every right to go out to the streets. That's what makes America different from many other countries around the world.
With the large crowds that gather to demonstrate comes the risk of further spreading COVID-19. As the unrest in America continues, the number of infections in the U.S. from the coronavirus is also rising, along with the death toll, which now exceeds 100,000. Kane, Farabaugh.